Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back, as always, to another edition of Deadlock Weekly, the weekly show where I bring you the latest news, leaks, esports roundups, and more every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. If you want to stay in the loop, make sure to subscribe. Balance patches and other adjustments have continued at a pretty high frequency this week, which really is supporting the larger trend of the month since the shop rework came out. This week we got a really chunky patch filled with meaningful changes, the type that you make after a month of testing and seeing how strong items like Cultist Sacrifice and Headhunter were, and the type that you make when you're really committing to this type of system. And so it's no coincidence that Cultist Sacrifice and Headhunter were the two biggest nerfs of the patch. Healing Nova also got a sizable nerf, but I'm honestly not even so sure I want to really fully commit to calling it a nerf, because it feels more like a rework kind of, because it does scale pretty nicely with being a tier 3 with the buffs that it did receive. Just now that it is a tier 3, it just kind of prevents people from buying it on every single character. 12 Healing Nova is a game like we were seeing. It still feels as nice as ever, though, on support characters. So it's really just not going to be going anywhere from your games. You just won't see it on Hazes and Vindictas anymore. Other than those item changes, the hatches were mostly battened down, if you will. Systems were refined, stats are being dialed in. For example, now Headhunter, it requires the center pellet on shotguns to proc. It's the bottom middle for my Calico mains out there, I was wondering that. Bugs, though, with Tank Buster and Lightning Scroll, those were fixed. And these aren't the balance-motivated stat tweaks that we saw all the time with the old items. They were steps forward, or rather, they are steps forward towards fully fleshing out this incredible shop system that they've designed. And I think this is a great point to stop and say how much fun I've had with Deadlock the past month since the patch dropped. I'm always itching to play a game just because there's so much new still for me to discover, and I even considered dropping this video a little bit late today to get in more games. The roster, it feels refreshed, and it really does feel like you can be impactful with almost any build. It seems like the good vibes are kind of a common sentiment, so let me know what you think. We also got a plethora of hero balance changes, which is really nice to see. If I had a theory, if I had a guess, I would say that a big hero like balance patch is probably what's next in coming. And if I had to really guess, we're going to see some, if not all, those heroes from that Deathy leak make it in that same patch as well. Like, if I had to guess, that's the next big, like, earth-shaking patch. Will be a big hero, maybe not rework, but rebalancing of the ones that we have here, and then also bringing in a bunch of those new heroes. That's just my theory. But with the hero balance changes that we got today, or this week rather, Calico got a basically just Ava nerf with like 5 lines of patch notes, increasing cooldowns, reducing durations, increasing slowdowns on damage, and just about anything you can imagine to her Ava form, which is a sneaky nerf to her box running. Abrams, though, is still probably the biggest hero change of the patch, which essentially flopped his first and second upgrade on his shoulder charge, as well as reducing the stun time by about 25%, which makes things really interesting, because now you can reliably parry Abrams to get a heavy melee off before he can get a heavy melee off while you're stunned. He can still light melee you, or his teammates can do whatever they want to while you're stunned, but the duration without that tier 2 upgrade is too short to get a heavy melee off, and it makes laning against Abrams a little bit more dynamic, and I like this change. I'm not sure what it was, but there was some timing Abrams players had to hit in order to actually get the heavy melee off before, and there was a solid chance you could parry it if they didn't hit that timing, and I found a lot of times in lower ranks I could like reliably, just by spamming F, hit the parry timing. And this just removes that game altogether, and I think that's a good thing. And then the final thing that I want to highlight in this patch are the boxes, which are, we talked about Calico's kind of sneaky nerf to her running boxes. This is just boxes overall, which were rescaled to make them a little bit less powerful in lane, but more powerful later in the game, because it encourages people to instead not to leave lane to farm boxes much less. It encourages them to do that much less and to stay with their team in lane. As well, it makes it so that like later in the game, when you're in those situations where there's nothing on the map but boxes to farm, you can still do that as well, and it doesn't feel like a complete waste of time. We also had some more art changes, and the big one is that bunnies, this is just a trend across all, bunnies are being replaced with horses, which I like, because in Deadlock, Sinclair turns you into a bunny and then he kills you. Horse has explosive momentum, and I think it's a much stronger image, and they're right to choose it. And in a similar fashion, Arcane Surge got changed to a unicorn from a bunny, which I think is a great mystical interpretation of kind of the horse theme that they've got going on. Arctic Blast, as well as Capacitor, and some others got tonal changes, and I love all this stuff. Keep it up, please. But I still wish those tier 4 items had a stronger color than gray, and I think I'm going to beat this drum until someone says otherwise. It still feels wrong to have tier 1, 2, 3 all be purple title cards, for example, and then you get to tier 4 and they have badass art, but the title card is gray. And it's one of, if not the most boring colors. And this can and just should be cooler. Maybe the tier 4 titles are incorporated into the art, kind of like that old Tesla Bullets poster. That's cool potential there. I like that. Moving on from the patch though, guys, we did have a couple of things in the community that I wanted to highlight this week. Deathy's Death Slam in Europe, that wrapped up this week, and trophy collectors defeated the Groglodites. I think, yeah, Groglodites. Congratulations to the trophy collectors collecting their first trophy, and I will be sure, guys, to keep you in the loop as we did this time around with when signups for the next Death Slam are around, assuming that there are more. And then, guys, after that, maybe one of the funniest mods that has crossed my desk yet. This LeBron James for Abrams, LeBron skin for Abrams mod. It is hysterical. It uses LeBron's like multiverses title, which RIP that game. That just shut down this week, by the way, if you didn't know that. It uses LeBron's skin from multiverses and drops it into Deadlock, replacing Abrams, and so it's got voice lines and everything. You can have a really good time with this. The link is in the description below. And then finally, guys, we got Winrates Weekly for you, but it's been a little bit more like Pick Rates Weekly the past little bit. There are going to be days ahead where we pay really close attention to a 1 or 2% win rate difference, but given the relatively massive item and hero balance changes that come weekly this past month, we're just not there yet. But I, for one, want to enjoy the time we have before we all start acting like a bunch of Counter-Strike fans freaking out when Valve changes like AK fall off range or M4 damage by 3%. Abrams, Mo and Krill, and Talon are all having pretty big pick rate fall offs, and Mo and Krill is interesting to me because this is a trend that's continued since the patch dropped, and it seems like players aren't coming back to him, which I find a bit strange. I feel like you could make some really tanky, fun Mo builds these days, but I guess those people are just having more fun with other characters. And I imagine the 6% fall off for Abrams is just the beginning of the iceberg. I don't think it'll be permanent, but next week I think it'll be more drastic as people who are used to the combo go to find new things, that their home has been rocked a little bit. I still haven't gone back to Calico since the update, so I know how you feel, Abrams mains. Speaking of Calico, she's got a 10% pick rate bump as well as Wraith. Remember to use Counterspell against those new Wraith players. And so, guys, that's all I got for you this time. If you did enjoy the video, I would really appreciate you like and subscribe so that we can make sure the next one pops up in your feed. And if you really enjoyed the video, hop into the Discord and we can come hang out, talk some Deadlock, and chill out, talk some other games too. Guys, I hope you have had a fantastic week. I am working on I talked about it in the last one. I'm still working on a good little video. I think I'm going to have it up this week. Keep an eye out. Have a great week, guys. I will see you again next weekend. If I don't see you again this week, which I'm pretty sure I will. Peace.